I'm Hannah. I'm your host of MACTIVE, MacTV's healthy living and fitness show. Today's episode, we're talking to a personal trainer, Gina. Let's go inside and meet her. Hi Gina, thanks for being on MacTV.
Thank you for having me.
So I wanted to first ask you, how did you get into becoming a personal trainer?
Well, I've always been really involved in sports. I've done pretty much every sport I can since I was little. I started skiing when I was like 3. I really got involved when I tore my ACL last year. So Alana, actually the fitness coordinator that's here, the health and fitness coordinator, she kind of promoted me to get my personal training because I've been working here for 2 years, and I had my first degree in kinesiology, and I used to be a member of the varsity rugby team and all this stuff, and she just really promoted me because this is my life.
That's great. So what are the benefits of joining a gym like the Pulse?
We actually have the best facility of all the universities. It's the most recent that was built, and it's also the most accessible. And so the best thing about joining a gym or joining a fitness center is that, first of all, the atmosphere is wonderful. Like, everyone's happy that's here, and like, it's just such a health-oriented field, and that's what I love about it. And then when you're joining a gym, you go for like the health benefit, so you are getting your heart rate up, and you're wasting that energy that you could spend drinking. Or for me, I find that when I work out, it helps me relieve a lot of like stress, so from exams, from tests and things like that, but it also helps me kind of center myself. So if there's days that I feel like really agitated, or I feel that I have too much energy and I go for a run or I come here, it just helps me like kind of displace that energy so I can actually focus.
Nice. So what do you recommend for someone just starting out joining a gym? Should they do a mixture of strength and cardio training, or what's the optimal workout?
Well, I definitely recommend a mixture of strength and aerobic training, but I know that the New Year's resolutioners are coming up soon because it is January, and so I know a lot of people are focused on weight, and we're trying, especially here at the Pulse, we're trying not to focus on weight but body composition. So it's more of those things that instead of looking at the number on the scale, it's how your body feels. So what a lot of people don't know is that when you do resistance training, you're actually building muscle, which increases your basal metabolic rate, which is actually increasing how many calories you burn while you're sitting. So just as a baseline, so while you're sitting, sleeping, just doing like stuff like that, because muscle itself requires a lot more energy and a lot more calories, I guess, to maintain. So the more muscle you have, the more energy you have to intake, because you're expelling that to maintain it. Whereas when you're doing aerobic training, it's really great for your body and your heart and your cardiovascular system and things like that. But you really, for the most part, are really only burning or outputting the energy while you're doing the activity. So I would say I contrasted both, because you want to increase your basal metabolic rate while
great.
doing aerobic training.
And then also, when you do a strenuous workout, what are some tips on recovery after that?
You always, always, always want to eat. You want to have a little bit of protein, a little bit of carb. You really want that, because the carb itself will help your body, will help your muscles actually heal faster, because it needs that sugar, because that's the simple sugars are what your body uses as energy. And then you need that protein to help your muscles rebuild, because each time you work out, you're causing little tears so that they grow. And so they need that protein to get bigger and get stronger. And stretching is a huge thing that no one does, and it helps your muscles so much.
So what do you recommend people do if they don't have time to go to a gym one day? What are some simple exercises to do at home?
Well, there's actually like a lot you can do at home. I always suggest, especially for aerobic things, you can go for a run outside, or you can go for a bike, or especially now that it's winter, even just walking like on the ice and things like that, it always helps your stabilizer muscles, because it is harder to walk on the ice. I can show you 6 different exercises, 2 for upper body, 2 for lower body, and then 2 for torso. So what I'm going to show you first is going to be a push-up. So it's a pushing exercise, and then I'll later on show you a pulling exercise. So there's 2 different ways you can do a push-up. Well, there's also different ways that you can place your hands, but there's a modified way, so you can go from your knees. What you always want to remember is to have your knees in line with your hips, in line with your shoulders. So you don't want any of this, and you don't want any of this. You always just want it nice and strong and engage that core and keep those shoulders down. Okay. So keep your eyes up as well. And then your hands about shoulder width apart. We'll come straight down and straight back up. And the non-modified version, you'll hop up on your toes, but the line stays the same. So it's just from your toes to your knees, to your hips, to your shoulders. And you want to avoid rotating your shoulders like this. You want to keep them down and back. And we'll go straight down and straight back up. So there's also different ways of doing that too if it becomes too easy at home. You can do a close grip so that there's a triangle right here. So you push straight down, straight back up. And then there's also plyo ones. So you can push down and then hop up.
Oh wow. Okay.
So those are just more explosive ways. Another way, a pulling exercise that you can do is for your back muscles. So what you always want to remember with your back muscles is you want to set them down, so you never want them up and pull. You want to relax your traps, so you want to set them down and pull together.
Okay.
So what this is going to do, I figure everyone has a backpack that they can use. They can just load it with some books because we all have them, so that's always good. And so what you can do is you can hold on to either side of them, and you want to set yourself so that your shoulders are down and your body's at about a 45-degree angle. And so what you're going to do is you're going to pull straight up. So you don't want to keep your shoulders bent or arched. You want to keep them down and back and pull those shoulder blades together. And you can come right on back. This is also really good for posture because I know everyone walks around like this. Yeah. We don't want to walk around like this. We want to walk around with a good, strong posture. So this will help with that too.
Great.
So if you want to give it a shot.
Yeah, give it a try. And I guess once you get better, you can add more weight to it.
Exactly, yeah. So bend your back, or bend your knees a little bit.
Okay.
Keep your shoulders down. Good. And then pull straight up. Good. Make sure to bring your shoulder blades together as well.
Okay.
Perfect. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Getting used to moving your shoulder blades is a weird feeling, especially in our culture because we all sit like this at our desks. So all of our rhomboid muscles that pull your shoulder blades together like this are so weak. Okay, so the next thing I'll show you is going to be two different leg exercises. So the first one's going to be a lunge. So what a lunge is, it's about 3 steps width, and then you'll step forward. And so for this one, you want to be careful that your knee doesn't go over your toe. You want to keep it right in line, and you want to sink straight down. You want to keep your shoulders back and everything in line. So we're going to sink straight down and feel like there's a string pulling us back up. You want to avoid leaning like this because you're actually making it easier for yourself but less efficient for your muscles, so you're not doing as much. So you can either walk forward like this, or you can do the multiples on each side and then switch. And then another thing that you can do can be squats. So squats are difficult at first. They feel really awkward and you feel like you're going to fall over. So if you're doing it for the first time, I always suggest using a chair so that you don't feel like you're going to fall over. This might be a little bit high for me, but find one that allows you to be at 90. So this one, it's a little bit high for me, but it'll do. So what you want to do is you want to keep your core really strong and your shoulders back, like I've always said. And so you want to keep your head up and you want to feel like you're sitting back. You don't want your knees to go forward. You want them to shift right back. Okay? And so you're going to let your butt touch and then come straight back up. And then once you get good at it, you can do it without the chair. Then push straight back up. Give it a shot.
So, shoulders back, core strong.
Good.
And could you add weights to this as well?
Yeah, if you have weights, that would be great. You can either hold them on your shoulders like this, or you can even just hold them in the center.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll show you is torso work. So we all call it torso instead of core because you're working for the whole thing, back muscles and ab muscles. So it is your core, but you're also working many other things. That's why we call it torso. So what I want to show you is actually a technique we call drawing in. There's a muscle that runs along the pelvic floor right here, and it's one of your biggest stabilizer muscles, and it's one that a lot of us don't use. And so it'll stabilize your hips, and it'll help kind of anchor everything together. So you should always keep it contracted whenever you're doing anything. So how to find it is you find the 2 bony pieces of your hip, and then just take about an inch walk in, and then you can cough, and you'll feel it rise under you. So that is what you want to feel. So you want to try and contract it so you get that feeling, and you want to be able to breathe while you're doing it. Because if you can't breathe, then you're just using pressure to kind of contract those muscles. But you want to be able to contract them yourself. You can think about drawing your belly button to your spine. So you want to always keep those contracted, especially when you're doing torso work. So we're going to show you just the correct way to do a kind of crunch, because a lot of people just arch up and they're actually not bringing their shoulder blades off the mat. So they're not really doing as much work. They're not making it as hard for themselves. So you always want to keep your eyes towards the ceiling, and you're going to keep those shoulder blades off and then come back down. So you always want to move in a line. And then other ways that you can do from that, if those get easy, is that you can work on your obliques, which are on the sides. And so you can alternate to the here, to your knee, or you can even do moving hands, so that you engage everything as well. And another thing that I'll show you is for your back. And so you have extensor muscles that run all the way up. And so what you want to do for these, a lot of people do these ones wrong because they just bend here, and then that puts a lot of pressure on your lower back. And I know people like me, we have lower back problems, so you don't want to put any more pressure on that than you have to. So what you want to do is you want to feel like you're pushing your shoulders away from your feet. Okay. So you want to feel like you're pulling up, but pushing up as well. And then you go back down. To make it harder, you can bring your shoulders up. Just make sure that you're not bringing your shoulders to your ears. Make sure you're setting your shoulders down as well.
So with everyone making New Year's resolutions in January, what are some tips you can give us on how to work out in the busy month of January?
Well, it's definitely going to be very, very busy in here. The best thing that I can give you for your New Year's resolution is keep it simple. Keep it realistic. So if you haven't worked out at all and you want to start working out, make it 1 or 2 times for maybe a half hour or an hour. Slowly build up to it. Don't go 5 days a week and then stop. And also just try to eat healthy. Don't try to cut everything out just at once. Make slow progressions. Keep it realistic and keep it simple. Because we all take time to change. So keep it slow. Obviously, we all want the immediate change, but everyone knows that doesn't happen. And another thing is, when we're up in the aerobic system, or up on the aerobic floor or the mezzanine, it's going to be super, super busy, and we do kind of monitor 30-minute time schedules, so you can't run or you can't go on the elliptical or the arc trainer or the bike for 40 minutes. So what I would suggest is interval training if you want to do that. So if you do like short, quick bursts of work, it's actually a lot more efficient than doing a long, slow jog. So yeah, just tips like that. And if you have any questions, always ask the trainer. There's always 1 or 2 on the floor, and we'll be happy to help. So if you have any questions, just ask us.
So thanks again for all your great tips. Is there anything else you'd like to add about fitness events coming up in January at all?
Yeah, actually in January we have 3 certifications that are coming up. Our Le Mans cycling or spin certification is coming up in January. Our personal training specialist certification, or our PTS certification, is coming up. And our FIS, the fitness instructor specialist certification, is coming up in January as well. You can register for those up in the glass room, so the rec office, where you got your membership. Also, we always have our spin classes that are set up, and our fitness classes that are in our other room, I guess, over there. And all of those times and the class times are all online. And if you have any questions, you can always call the pulse.
Thanks.
Thank you.